time to get canning some salsa, which I've never done before. I'm very excited. You need your Roma tomatoes, your onions, bell peppers, hot peppers, whatever kind you like, cilantro, and garlic. Okay. So we're pouring and Xing them before we put them in the oven. So this should make it easy for the skins to peel off. You could also blanch them, which I just don't feel like doing. I think this is going to be easier to do with a little baby supervising me. I've seen other ones where you cut them in half before you roast them, but I'm not sure how much difference that makes. So the recipe said about 25 tomatoes. I'm doing more than that just in case, because some of them are not looking great. So I went to the store because they had, yeah, we went to the store because they had a sale on tomatoes, and then they didn't have any. So these ones were also on sale, but not the good sale. It was a 25-pound box for $8. And then these I paid probably I think 15 for. A couple are from my garden, but I just have so many green tomatoes in my garden right now. So I don't know. I know other people are also having a bit, yeah, other people are also having a bit of an issue with the tomatoes not wanting to ripen. So we want to have hot peppers for this recipe. Just whatever kind you like, whatever kinds at the store in my case. I personally would have used jalapenos, but for some reason there weren't any jalapenos at the store. So these are hot fingers, I want to say is what it said, and the other ones are yellow hots. I think they're like just a banana pepper. All of these scraps I'm going to be taking out to the chickens. They can't taste heat, so hot peppers don't bother them at all. And the chickens are loving it. I brought them just the tomatoes and the bits of the hot peppers. I'll give them the rest later. All right, so I have the tomatoes cooling over there on the stove, and we're going to get everything else chopped up and ready to go. Ball canning recipe, ball mason jars, it's on their website. If you go on their website and search salsa, it's the canning salsa, you'll find it. If you don't have a canner, you can do this recipe and then just keep it in your fridge or your freezer, but they also have other recipes that are made for that, so try out whatever you want. Get these green peppers chopped up. We need, 5 cups chopped seeded bell peppers. So when you're doing canning recipes, you do have to be very careful about your measurements, that you actually do get the 5 cups, because if you have different like acidity levels of your ingredients, it can alter the safety of your recipe. Something that I learned working at a Russian, well, Moldovan, but they call it Russian restaurant. Take one little piece, put it there, that's your 1 cup. So that you don't have to be keeping track as you're chopping, so you know where you're at. So I have that there as my 1, and as each time I put a new cup in, that's what I'm going to base off of. Okay, my daughter is playing with the canning rings, but hopefully that's not too annoying. They are so easy to peel off, as you can see. It's just coming off so perfectly. So a lot of people will keep these and dehydrate them, and then you can use them as sort of like a tomato paste because it's more concentrated. Dehydrate them and grind them up. Otherwise, like I think I might just give them to my chickens because this isn't really a lot. In the rest of our onions, the cilantro and the garlic. So it's 2 tablespoons of cilantro and 3 cloves of garlic, which is like almost a tablespoon finely chopped. Now we're adding in our tomatoes. So we just want to chop them all up. So it's 10 cups of tomatoes, which should be, it said about 25, like whole tomatoes. And we have more than that here, but as I put them into the cups, I'm a little worried that we don't have enough. That's definitely not gonna be enough tomatoes, but I have these guys in the freezer from last year's garden, so let's thaw these out. I think somebody is teething. And popsicles were working, and now they're not working. Okay, so I finally got everything in there. I had just a couple more of those frozen tomatoes, so I'll have to figure out what to do with the rest of them. But everything is in the pot. I'm gonna put it on the stove and bring it up to heat. So we also needed 1 1/4 cup of vinegar and a tablespoon of salt. So it's important to add both of those because they're part of the preservatives. You need to be adding something acid when you're canning in a water bath canner. So tomatoes seem acidic, but they're not acidic enough, especially with all of these other ingredients, to water bath can safely without adding an acid like vinegar. So you want to make sure your vinegar is at least 5% acidity. What I'm using is 7% because it's for pickling, but that's fine. As long as it's more than 5, you're good. I also used canning and pickling salt. You can use any salt as long as it doesn't have any additives. So really all the additives do is kind of change the color. So if it has iodine in it, which a lot of table salt does, you don't want to have that. But overall it's fine. And then we're going to bring this up to a boil, stir it while it's boiling. I have my jars in here and they're nice and warm. That water was just boiling, but I turned it down, so it's pretty warm. So we want to cook it up, stirring regularly until it reduces down, probably 10 minutes. All done. There's still liquid, but that's all I got in me today. Not sure how well you guys can see. So my jars have just been kept warm in here. I'm going to drain them out. I'm going to get everything ladled on in here. Where's my ladle? You want to make sure your jars are warm because if you're putting a really hot liquid into cold jars, they can crack, and we don't want that. I'm going to wipe off all of our rings to make sure there's no sauce on them. Or sauce or condiment. Salsa is a sauce. Our lids on. I always use Bernardin lids for everything that I do. But I'm part of a group, Women in Homesteading, and these are superb lids that sponsor them. I can put the link for the Women in Homesteading that they get with their sponsored link. I have mixed emotions about it because they are American lids, and with everything going on right now, I don't think, for the moment, I will be buying American-made products. So we want to finger tighten our lids on here. Of course, I'm going to struggle. Take our jars, put them in, and then we can adjust the water level if we need to. I'm not sure if all of these are going to fit in. All right, so there is not enough water in here. Every safe canning recipe I've always looked at said to have 2 inches of water above the jars, but the Ball canning book just says 1 inch, which is interesting. Okay, it's just about boiling. Once it gets to like a rolling boil, I will start the timer for 15 minutes, and then when it's done, take them out, set them over there to cool overnight. Okay, so the jars have been processed, and they are just gonna sit here overnight to cool down, and we'll take off the rings tomorrow. All right, good morning. I'm in my jammies because it's the next day. My daughter's playing with her rattle. But everything has cooled down, and we're gonna take the rings off, and they're good to store. So this should just be almost off already on their own, and you can check the seal. You can also give it a little tap. You can hear the difference. If you can push and it like pushes back, it's not sealed, but it's on there. So I'm going to remove all these rings, give the jars a wipe down just in case there's any residue on the outside, label them, and put them away.